Yeah?
Yeah.
Sweet. All right. My number one then is actually WWE 2K15 on Xbox One. I've been watching wrestling again this year after taking a long hiatus, as daft as it is, but I figure I watch enough real fighting now, so it's okay to watch some pretend fighting as well. I don't have to feel bad about it. So I was actually quite looking forward to this game. I quite enjoyed last year's game. The one before that they had a really good mode where you could play through the era where I was really watching loads of it when I was like between 16 and 20, the Attitude Era. That was a really good mode in WWE 13. So I was looking forward to this one. New graphics. Ukes have been helped out by visual concepts of the NBA 2K team for this one, apparently. So they say. Not too sure where. So you're thinking, okay, some of the screenshots are coming out and it looks nice. Maybe this is going to be the one where it really goes to the next level. And it's definitely not that. It's definitely not that. This is, at times, incredibly shoddy. At times it has glimpses of potential, but for the most part it is a bit of a disappointment. First things first, it's feature stripped, so it's lost that hilarious story creating mode, which is like a real hidden gem in the last few years' games. And there's a whole culture that's been built around those modes and this like subculture on the internet that creates this like wrestling product based around that, and apparently it's hilarious. I've not really paid attention to it, but I remember just making stuff that was making me laugh my head off on I think it was 12 or 13 on that mode. So that's gone, as has the creator finisher thing. Well, I don't really have time to start doing that kind of thing anymore, but the fact that you could create your own moves is always really cool, and it's completely unique to the series, and that's gone as well. You can obviously still create a wrestler, create an entrance, all that sort of stuff, but even that, like the create a wrestler mode takes like 5 seconds to load in the different faces and things like that. So I just made someone just like sort of generic white man with long hair because I didn't want to sit there loading in every single texture. It takes forever. That feels really shoddy, and that shoddiness carries over to the matches, which is obviously by far the most important part of a wrestling game. There are still animations in this game, I swear. I don't know for sure, but I swear some of the animations in this game are still hangovers from the very first SmackDown game that came out in 2000. I swear they're still in there. I couldn't believe it. At times the wrestlers move nicely and heavily, and they look like they have a weight to them. It doesn't look anywhere near as good as like in the UFC, but some of the guys, like the top guys, the John Cena's, the Triple H's, they've been scanned in. They do look pretty good, especially in their entrances. But then they'll do something like literally teleporting from being on the ground to stood up in one frame of animation, or from crouching to laying down in one frame of animation. It's got a thing like, it's terrible. This is a next-gen game, but like, if you're near the ropes and you start to run towards the ropes, a wrestler would just lean his back into the ropes. You can imagine what they do. It's like leaning your back into anything. Yeah. In the old like No Mercy and all those games, that animation was just in there. You'd have a normal running animation if you're in the middle of the ring, but if you were next to the ropes, just lean your back into them. This starts you running into the ropes, teleports you into that lead. I mean, it looks crap. Shoddy, really, really shoddy stuff. And some of the animations of the moves look sped up, like they happen at double speed, so you lose all the impact. And wrestling is fake, but the moves look good because they're rehearsed, and the guys are very well trained to make something look good. That's why they land flat on their back. That's why the ring makes so much noise. It's supposed to look as cool as possible. So if the moves in the game look shitty, then it just kind of defeats the purpose of what am I doing here? Why am I real fighting in this pretend fighting game? I had that kind of existential problem a few times. On the upside, the match engine does, for the first time I'd say ever really in this series, start to try and understand that it is a pretend fight, a fake fight, a stage isn't the right word, but a predetermined fight, and the reason that people watch it is for the drama and excitement rather than watching MMA. It's a sport. So it engineers some of the stuff in the game it engineers it for drama rather than just pure fighting. An example I wrote in my review was If you watch a wrestling match, someone hits someone and they go down, then the first person will go to the top rope. That bottom person's going to stay laying down for the first person to jump off. Now, they may just let them hit them, and that's the move, and they hit their move from the top rope, or the bottom person might roll out the way at the last minute or lift their knees up at the last minute, but they're not just going to stand up and just kind of look at each other. And in every SmackDown game ever, and the recent WWE games, if the guy on the bottom, if his predetermined amount of time to be down on the ground ran out, they just stood up, and then you just have a guy stood in the top rope, the guy stood in the ring looking at each other, and it just comes across looking stupid. Now the guy on the bottom will stay on the bottom, and you can either hit the reversal button at the right time. So making strides in the right direction, these games need to be exciting. That's the point of it. They need to be able to engineer something that is an approximation of what you were to watch on the TV, the near falls, when they kick out just before it gets to 3 on the 3 count. That's why, as stupid as it is, that's what makes wrestling fun. If you get into the characters, that's what's compelling about that, the matches, as well as the kind of stunt work and athleticism. But apart from that, I mean, even that, still leagues, and I mean leagues behind those N64 wrestling games in terms of that sort of stuff. It will never catch up to them. And it's embarrassing to say that. Like, the first one of those came out in this country in '98, I believe. Then the WWF versions of it, as it was, came in 2000. That's a fucking long time ago. Yeah. And then, the rest of the stuff, the My Career mode is just text boxes telling you, oh, well done, you've won 3 matches. You get a title match next. You go up from this thing called NXT, which is like where it's a TV program, but it's like where the development, where they develop the new wrestlers. And then you get moved up to the main show. But there's nothing interesting about it at all. It's just little people appear in text boxes telling you that you've done good or you haven't done good. And then there's the 2K Showcase mode, which is their version this year of like the Attitude mode, if you ever played through that, where they, I guess in a similar way to Never Alone, they mix gameplay with video. So they put everything into context by doing these really slick video packages, and then you play out the matches and you have specific scenarios you have to hit. In the last 2 games, they've been fantastic. The Attitude Era mode one was incredible. The one last year was like the road to 30 years of WrestleMania, I think it was. That was really good as well, and had loads of like really good nostalgic stuff for fans who of our age. Everyone watched it when we were kids. Whether it doesn't matter if you didn't get back into it, you still know who the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan were. But this is just two programs, as they call them, like 2 storylines. John Cena against CM Punk, a man who left the company in January and it feels strangely irrelevant to be front and centre here. And the other one is Triple H, Shawn Michaels. It's like, it feels like they're in there because they had to get something in there, and they just bundled together some video. It's just, it has no... There's nothing of interest in either of those storylines to anybody. Whether they're okay to someone who's a hardcore wrestling nut, but the other 2 had a kind of timelessness to them that was interesting, I think, for people who didn't even necessarily follow the sport in inverted commas. But these are just crap. They're crap. It's a long way around of saying they're crap. And the game is just, it's crap. It's not very good. I wouldn't recommend it at all. It shows promise of it may be getting better next year with some of the things that they've included in the in-ring stuff, but overall, a shoddy and feature strip product and a real disappointment.